There is a difference between not believing in God and rejecting God. Not believing is quiet. Rejecting is personal. Disbelief often comes from uncertainty. Rejection comes from experience. And that experience is almost never about logic alone. This video is not about proving God exists, and it's not about proving God doesn't. It's about understanding the psychology of people who actively reject the idea of God. Not because they want chaos, not because they hate morality, but because at some point, belief stopped feeling safe, honest, or emotionally coherent. To understand rejection, we have to stop asking what they think and start asking what they felt. Let's start with the first psychological truth. People rarely reject God intellectually first. They reject God emotionally. The mind almost always follows the nervous system. When belief becomes associated with fear, shame, control, or emotional pain, the psyche does something very human. It protects itself. For some people, God was introduced not as comfort, but as surveillance, a presence that watched, judged, punished. Not gently, not lovingly, but constantly. When a child grows up feeling that love is conditional, that mistakes make them unworthy, the idea of God becomes emotionally dangerous, and the mind learns something quietly. If God exists, I am never safe. So rejection begins not as rebellion, but as relief. Another major psychological factor is betrayal of expectation. Many people were taught that belief would bring protection, that if they prayed, trusted, obeyed, things would work out. Then life happened. Loss, abuse, illness, injustice, and the promised protection didn't arrive. For some minds, belief bends to accommodate suffering. For others, belief collapses under it. Not because they are weak, but because their internal sense of fairness breaks. The question becomes unbearable. If God is good, why did this happen? When no emotionally satisfying answer comes, rejection is not hatred, it's grief turning into boundary. Another key psychological factor is control and autonomy. Belief systems often come with rules about identity, who you are allowed to be, who you must suppress, what parts of yourself are acceptable. For people whose natural personality, orientation, curiosity, or creativity didn't fit those rules, belief felt like self-erasure. And psychology shows something important. When a belief system requires you to reject parts of yourself, eventually the self rejects the belief. Not aggressively, but decisively. Rejection becomes an act of psychological survival. Another overlooked factor is intellectual honesty. Some people are not satisfied with belief that cannot be questioned. They don't reject God because they think they're smarter. They reject God because pretending certainty feels dishonest. When questions are discouraged, punished, or labeled sinful, the mind associates belief with dishonesty. And for some people, honesty is non-negotiable. They would rather live with discomfort than live with answers they don't believe. This isn't arrogance, it's integrity. Now, let's talk about anger carefully. Yes, some people who reject God are angry. But anger is not the cause, it's the symptom. Anger often comes after years of suppressing doubt, fear, or confusion. After being told that questioning means weakness. After being told that suffering has a purpose, even when it feels meaningless. Psychologically, anger appears when grief has nowhere to go, and rejection becomes the final stage of emotional separation. Another important psychological factor is moral independence. Many people who reject God don't reject morality. They reject moral outsourcing. They don't want goodness to depend on fear of punishment or hope of reward. They want responsibility. If something harms another person, they want to own that responsibility fully, not because a divine authority commands it, but because empathy demands it. For these minds, morality rooted in consequence feels more honest than morality rooted in obedience. Another layer is identity repair. For some people, belief was associated with shame. shame about desire, shame about curiosity, shame about emotion. Rejecting God becomes a way to reclaim dignity, not to become reckless, but to become whole. Psychology shows that when shame dissolves, the belief system tied to it often dissolves too. Now let's talk about death. For many believers, God softens death. For people who reject God, death becomes sharper. And because it is sharper, it becomes more meaningful. Time becomes precious. Love becomes urgent. Regret becomes heavier. Rejection of God does not remove meaning, it relocates it. Meaning moves from eternity into the present moment. Now here's something rarely acknowledged. Many people who reject God still experience awe. They feel it in nature, in art, in human connection, in silence. They don't interpret awe as divine. They don't need to. Psychologically, awe does not require theology. It requires presence. Another crucial factor is authority fatigue. When belief systems align with power structures that cause harm, silence victims, or protect abuse, rejection becomes ethical, not emotional. Ethical. People don't reject God, they reject what God has been used to justify. And when those two are inseparable in their experience, the rejection becomes total. Now let's address something important. Rejecting God does not mean rejecting meaning. It means refusing borrowed meaning. People who reject God often feel a heavier burden. If there is no cosmic justice, then justice must be built. If there is no divine plan, then responsibility is personal. This is not an easy psychological position. It requires maturity and resilience and courage. Now here is the most important truth of all. People who reject God are not broken. They are not immoral. They are not empty. They are responding to how belief interacted with their nervous system, their identity, and their experience of reality. Just as belief can heal some people, it can harm others. Psychology does not rank these outcomes. It observes them. The real psychological danger is not rejection or belief. It is forcing one psychological map onto every human mind. Some people find safety in surrender. Others find safety in autonomy. Some people find comfort in faith. Others find comfort in honesty. And neither path is inherently superior. The tragedy is not disbelief. The tragedy is misunderstanding. So if you reject God, it does not mean you rejected meaning. It means you chose to carry meaning yourself. And if you believe in God, it does not mean you avoided responsibility. It means you found meaning through trust. Psychology doesn't ask us to agree. It asks us to understand. Because understanding is where empathy begins. And empathy, not belief or disbelief, is what humans allow to live together without fear. If you stayed till the end, thank you. This wasn't a video about being right. It was a video about being human. And for more such videos, please subscribe. We need your support.